Lord have mercy on anything that is holy right now. So, hi, guys. This is not a video I ever thought I'd be making or be making a part two to, but this is also a very, case sensitive thing. Now, if you're new here, hi, how are you? Whenever I make topic videos about recent events or things going on, uh, because I don't like giving the person involved, uh, how do I describe this? Platform, I don't put clips in. I don't do things like that. Sorry if you hear shit in the background. It's early morning and I live in a city. But trust me, you're going to see 1,000 people talking about it. Philip DeFranco talked about it. ReadytoGlare talked about it. I can bet there's going to be a bunch more people talking about it. What's going on right now with a certain mom blowing up on Twitter and a certain issue that's been happening. And I want to rant about it. I want to rant about it because this, if you're new here, I used to be a teacher's aide for 2 years. My first, 2 years into adulthood, right out of high school. I actually wanted to be a teacher. I also wanted to be a child psychologist for years. I went to school, did a couple of classes in it, so I didn't graduate with my degree or anything, but I did take a couple of child development and psychology classes, as well as just research in my own free time and other instances here. I know you probably didn't know that about me, but I was really serious about that because I'm really serious about people who do this kind of shit to kids. But I'm also very angry, very opinionated, and very vocal, which is also why I decided not to become a shrink. So, I'm also drinking in the background. Not booze, but I should be. So I saw this on Twitter when it first, blew up. I was actually, as terrifying as this is to say, I was literally in a phone call with my friend, and we were in the middle of a conversation, and when I, talk to people, I usually have to be doing something else that, I can kind of keep my brain focused on so I can focus on the conversation. But I stumbled on that, and I just stopped, and we just talked about it, and I sent her the video, and it was all a big thing, and a lot of people are replaying the video, and it's easy to find. Like I said, you'll find ReadytoGlare talking about it, and Philip DeFranco and other people talking about it, but actually hearing this baby's crying, oh, it was a toddler, it was a 2-year-old. To me, a 2-year-old, while genetically they're considered a toddler, emotionally and, mental growth-wise, to me, they are still a fucking baby. When you're 2, you don't know a lot of stuff. You don't know what's going on. You could be, a smart 2-year-old, as this terrible mother tries to say, but in the same vein, this is also coming off of ReadytoGlare's video, where she actually did a lot of research into it. I did none because it was boiling my blood, so I was happy to see her video. I will also link to ReadytoGlare's video because I think people should see it. But be warned, she does play the clip. She does warn when the clip's being played. And I'm pretty sure she put timestamps in the description or something so you can skip that chunk of the video. But it just stems from a deeper question here. And it comes from, and people can debate me on this, people who shouldn't be fucking parents, okay? We live in a day and age now where a lot of things are given to us. Specifically, I'm saying about America because that's where I'm from and I know, where these sorts of things don't happen as often as they used to. And you might be wondering what that means. I'm very pro-choice. I'm not going to have that debate right now, but I feel like if you are not emotionally, financially, and physically ready to have a kid, I don't think you should have a kid. Now, is there a rare statistical proven number? That is a very rare proven number, so it does exist, but it's tiny, that in those instances the kid turns out okay. I'm not talking about those people. We're talking about the big numbers here. Because people like to hold on to that tiny little number and just ignore the big numbers as, well, what if I'm the special one? What if I'm the... Chances are you're not, okay? chances are they're not. I had a friend in high school, got pregnant in high school, and for her, she actually was that weird statistic. Having that kid in high school actually did get her to turn her shit around, and she's one of the best moms I've ever met. And it's one of those things where I do see having a kid when you're emotionally not ready does make you grow up. But that's also things you have to accept and fight for. Things that I talked about with this young mom who was my friend for a long time, which was something she also brought up to me, which was a frustration, which is a valid frustration, but it wasn't a deterrent to hating her child. And it was that sometimes I wish people would come out, hang out with me, but when I have to bring my son along, or I have to bring my daughter along, or I have to do this and that along, they get all weird and they get all iffy about it. And it sucks. And yeah, not everybody wants to pal around when you're a young adult with a little kid. But while it frustrated her, she understood that. I'm pretty sure the mom who popped, which that was something that always I thought was a weird phrase, and then ReadytoGlare explained what it was, and that made me just more sick in my soul. She's never hit her kid. She's never done anything like that. Now, to get this out there, so we're going to just pause for a minute so we can do something that I learned in my psychology class. Again, don't have a degree, but I did take college courses on it. When we learned about child punishment, okay, this might be outdated. I took the classes back in around like 2012 to right around 2014, 2015. So I was learning that one proper way to punish your child if they are freaking out, if they are having an issue, if they know what they did, it's not. We're not mentally the same at that point. It's why we have to teach kids in their developmental years basic social skills and basic reading, writing, and math comprehension in those young ages, because that's what sticks in their brains like glue. So if you are popping your kid, which a pop apparently means a hit, as in you just, and the way this woman talks about it, just like, it was just one. Yeah, I just single-handedly, socked a 2-year-old. It's fine. And it makes me so angry, because I have met people like this. They were not my friends, but I have worked for people like this. I have found out about people like this, and it has always made me so unsettled, because these people think that it's okay. Because, well, this is the problem with people nowadays. People don't beat their kids. Here's the problem, okay? Here's the problem with that whole fucking debate. My dad's generation, the baby boomer generation, yeah, my parents are older, when they were punished, in most often cases, they were beaten violently. There was the small number that didn't, but it was common to where you would see parents beat their kids in a supermarket if they were misbehaving. If a kid did something slightly wrong, the parent would take off the belt and do that snapping noise, and just to terrify their kids. Oh, well, my kid respects me, but your child should never be terrified of you. They should never be terrified. They should understand the difference between right and wrong when they are mentally capable of understanding that difference. It's why a good example that I always think of that just shows how things are is the show Mad Men. Donald Draper, his first wife, spoiler for Mad Men, is a terrible mom. A terrible mom, but she was brought up with expectations that that's what you do. You look really fucking pretty, you find yourself a rich guy, you pop out 2.5 kids, and that's your life, and then she's miserable, and there's a lot of other stuff goes on. But she's a very bad mom. She loves her kids, but she is a terrible mom. And even then, she only loves, like, some of her kids. It's more like she likes the idea of her kids. But whenever her kids would do something slightly wrong, she would hit them, punish them, scream at them, belittle them, to where when the kids were growing up, Sally ends up raising her brothers more than her mom does. And when the Disneyland episode happened. I think it was like season 2 or 3 or something, or whatever the Disneyland episode was. The family's all drinking milkshakes, and the kid reaches over and spills her milkshake, and everybody except for the girlfriend that becomes Don's second wife freaks out, because they're so used to that's what the mom would do. If there was a slight accident, because it was very clearly an accident, she would lose her damn mind. And when, I think her name was Megan, when Megan's like, it was an accident, it's just a milkshake, it's no big deal, the whole family was weirded out, because that wasn't normal to them. Because it was normal that if you fuck up, even if it's an honest mistake, you're gonna get beat, or you're gonna get yelled at, you're gonna get embarrassed, and you're gonna get abused. And that is a mentality that I'm very happy is going away. It still exists, but it's not as common as it is now. Now, you have the adverse effect. If you don't punish your kids at all, then in some cases, not all, they end up walking over the parents. We've seen this too. I actually know people personally to me that did that to their parents, because their parents were actually victims from their parents of being beaten for little things, to where they agreed that they would never punish their kids, never put their kids in timeout. The kids will just know right from wrong. And that's the hard part about being a parent. I'm not even a parent. I'm a bitch that took entry-level psychology classes, and I know this. And there's also people who's never gone to college who knows this. That there is... No one can tell you properly how to raise your damn kid, but if you in your selfish fucking mind think that it's okay to beat a 2-year-old for breaking a makeup palette, oh, well, she knew what she was doing. She's 2! And then when the tweets came out that you took away her iPad, why the hell does your 2-year-old have a goddamn iPad? This goes back to when I made my video about bad parents a long time ago, and I got a lot of people that were commenting on it, because, and this was something I did wrong, not those people, but they were really angry when I talked about, pretty much like YouTube parents. They're like, well, when I get home from work, I like to sit and watch movies with my kid on their iPad, or I like to watch movies with them, or I like to... That's not what I was talking about. That's very different. Supervising your kid, and obviously, and that's something ReadytoGlare brings up at a good time, you can't be with your kid 24/7. You're gonna go crazy. It's just a fact. But you shouldn't be so happy to be away from your kid that you're tweeting about it on Twitter, that you're tweeting about how you can't get a man, because when people find out that you have a toddler, they freak out. That's just a thing. That's why you have to tell people. Again, that's something my friend who had a kid had to deal with for a long time, but she never hid that she had a kid. Did it upset her? Yeah, she would tell me. She would I went on a date with this great guy, told him about my kid, guy freaking left, or, guy didn't call me back, or whatever. And people like to shit on the guy or the girl in those situations when it's the opposite. When, there's a guy that's got kids and the girl doesn't know anything about it. Or the guy and the guy, or the girl and the girl. We live in 2020, gay people can have these issues too. Or I should say LGBT, I shouldn't just assume gay. But it's one of those things that they have to understand, okay? And am I saying, well, I never get angry at my children, I never raise my voice, there's something else wrong with you too. Because we are human beings, and it is normal for your kids to get under your skin, and you can get angry at your kids. There's a big difference between angry, venting, and openly hating your kids. Something else I'm seeing all the time, and I'm seeing more and more of the effects now. I'm seeing it all the time, people talking about it on Twitter. I see it from my husband's family. I'm lucky my family never did this, but I've seen other people's family do this, where they end up blaming the kid for shit in their life. When, surprise, surprise, and this is why I'm also very pro-choice here, the kid didn't choose to be born, okay? We don't have much of a choice in that matter. We don't have much of a choice in existing. So, when I would hear people, and I'd hear parents be like, oh yeah, my career was going this great places. No, I got a full ride scholarship, my dream school, and I was so happy. And then when people ask what happened, they're like, oh, well, I had a kid. Yeah, I had a kid, so I gave up my hopes and dreams for my kid. Should you lie to your child? No, but you shouldn't be guilting your child into feeling bad for just existing. This is something I've seen time and time again, and I am pretty sure this young mom is going to be the same way. Because the daughter's 2, the bio says the freaking mom is 22, so that's 20. 20 might not sound like a young mom, but in this day and age, that is a young mom now. Okay? Especially if you are a single mom, which she apparently is. You know? It's very different now than how it used to be. It is very rare. It does happen. It can happen. But it is very rare that an 18-year-old, the second they turn 18, can go be an adult. And medically proven, your brains don't fully develop. Now, I'm probably going to get this statistic a little wrong, but you can Google it. That your brains don't finish fully developing until you're around 25, and I think it's 30 in genetically born males, but I could be off on that. But I know it's at least 25 for females and most people. But I do think there's a male statistic in there too. I could be wrong. But that's when your brain is fully done developing. That's also why when you notice a lot of the like midlife crisis stuff happens right around when you're like, right around when you're around 30 or 40. Because, now you're like, oh God, I'm, blah, blah, blah. So we're dealing with these people who shouldn't be having kids. And I'm sorry, this woman shouldn't have her kid if the way it seems that, that a 2-year-old is tucking her in at night and that she's openly venting about her daughter on Twitter and using her daughter's real name. It's something that boils my blood, and I do hope that this child gets taken away from her, or that the fact that the internet's doing what it does to this mom gets it through her thick skull that you can't hit a child, you can't hit a baby for messing around with a makeup palette. That is one of the most selfish things I think I've ever heard. Another example before I go, because I'm heated and I'm angry and I'm venting, and I mean, you guys seem to like this, but I just have to say it. I remember a long time ago, I watched a vlog family. I don't watch vlogging families anymore. I might do a video on that in the future with my whole things on that. If you guys want to see it, comment below on my whole issue with family vloggers on YouTube, because I do have a lot of opinions on that. But I used to watch this family vlogger, and I remember there was this one video. I was about to say episode, and I'm like, it's not really an episode, where they had to like stop everything they were doing, and they like talked like they did this often when because they did their vlogs a few days in advance, or a few days behind. Like they'd film a couple days, edit it, and get it up. So they would often, if something happened on like in their real life, it's an emergency or whatever. And I remember that the dad was talking about how his toddler, who was I believe right around the same age as this kid in question right now, so like around 2 or 3. Broke his Apple Watch, and he broke it because he just took it and he chucked it. And he had to talk about how like they did explain to their son, and they did discipline him. They didn't beat him, they didn't hurt him, but they disciplined him for throwing something. It didn't matter that it's an Apple Watch, because you want to know why? Here's a news flash. Children, especially children that young, have no idea what the concept of money is. That little kid didn't throw an Apple Watch because it was an expensive toy. They threw it because they thought it was fun. In that sense, this is why kids are like animals, in often sense. I can't tell you how much stuff my cat's destroyed. Does my cat know it's expensive? No, because my cat will knock down my 3DS just as fast as he'll knock down a fucking can of beans, because it's a cat. Same with like a glass of water if you leave it on a table. Animals do animal stuff. Young kids do that stuff. Do I get angry if something of mine is destroyed? Yeah. But do I know it's an accident because it's not a mentally sentient creature on that same level as myself? No. And that's the problem here. And I very, very much respected this father for coming out and saying that, because they wanted to have another kid, I believe, at the time too. And they were like, we need to teach our child that they cannot be throwing things. It doesn't matter how expensive it was. It doesn't matter what it was. We can't have them throwing things when the new baby comes, because that can be a danger to the baby. And I remember thinking, wow, that is such a mature, great dad. I am so happy that somebody said that. And I remember looking at the comment section and just feeling, oh, I felt the heat in my face because of so many comments. Oh, I'd beat my kid if they broke my Apple Watch. Oh, you're just a bad parent. Oh my God, I wish I had the money to just replace an Apple Watch if my kid broke it. Ha ha. And it's just like, people aren't considering the fact that this kid didn't understand what was right and wrong. Now, if it was an 8 to 10-year-old throwing around an Apple Watch, yeah, they're probably going to understand at least kind of a semblance of what money is and nice things. 2 to 3-year-old? No. Remember what you want to know something I remember doing it too? I remember, and this is a true thing, and it's probably my only memory of when I was 2, and I only know I was 2 because it was the day my brother was born. My brother was born, and I was upset and screaming and crying because my uncle gave me peanut M&Ms instead of chocolate M&Ms. And that is a weird memory that's stuck in my head for like all these years. And I like to think about that memory every now and then because that is the logic of a kid, okay? My parents were having birth in the next room, and all my little dumbass brain was sad about wasn't that my mom and dad were screaming and crying as my brother was being born. It was that I got the wrong goddamn M&Ms, okay? That is the logic of a child baby brain. Okay? Oh! This makes me so mad! Okay. My rant is done. All of my social media links are down below. Support me on Patreon if you want to. I'm working on physical rewards and commission rewards. I also have all my other social medias. Follow me there because YouTube doesn't like to ding people when I make videos sometimes. And I'll see you guys on Wednesday for a normal scheduled video. Bye.